politics, legal institutions and the markets. We're joined by Owen Nkomo from Nkunzi Wealth. Great to have you with us, Owen.
Thank you for having me.
Is it fair enough to say the markets are very pleased?
No, look, I mean, if you look at the JSE, I think the market is down 0.4% at the end of the day, but that's because the bigger dual-listed stocks, your Richmonds, your British American tobaccos, etc., they have traded softer on a very strong rand. But if you look at the rand as a translation of the sentiment, definitely the markets are very happy. We are better by 2.5% at the end of the session. So I really think it's a welcome relief, one that we thought would come, but after a lot of work, but it doesn't look to me like this.
And the banks are also much stronger, and they reacted initially to the summons. So financial sector also influenced.
Yes, and then if you look at the private sector credit extension numbers, they came in better than expected. So the banks started rallying on the back of that. And then also when you had the news about the Minister Gordhan's case being dropped, the banks also did really well on the back of that. And I think they're obviously very sensitive towards where the currency goes. If the currency weakens, people start thinking that interest rates are going to go up, banks are going to start getting squeezed from a profitability basis, and they're not going to lend out enough money. So yes, the banks are happy, and all the other interest rate sensitive stocks are very happy as well. But it's all a circus.
Well, that's what you've raised, and a lot of people saying we've got a victory. Minister Gordhan has a victory. Maybe the markets are seeing it as positive, but it could be somewhat empty, a Pyrrhic victory. Well, what are your overall sentiments following this
what's
debacle,
a victory?
which some people
when
call
a father walks home with a plastic full of bread and goodie bags, should we celebrate every day? I mean, I think there's really nothing to celebrate here. People should be doing their jobs. People need to be doing what they are hired to do. Should we even have been here in the first place? I mean, we've been on this show talking about government employees retiring and going back to work again. And if this is a premise that the Minister Gordhan had been charged by the NPA, I really think that this case should never have got into where it did. It's quite unfortunate that we always find ourselves in this space, Before the minister, in the beginning of the year, I think actually the minister should stop going to London and America, because every time he goes there, first time he went there, when he came back, there was talk of the rock unit. And then this time around, he went to America and to London. He comes back, there's this charge against him. I think maybe he should just keep it local, his lekker, and just do his job and send someone else out there.
And what he's been saying, what do you think about his sentiments that there are these green shoots and we should be watering them? I mean, the trade surplus today was a nice surprise, I think. So would things be very different if we didn't have this playing out?
Geez, I'm telling you, I think that if you look at the rand, sitting at 13, probably 49 at the moment. My guess is that if we didn't have these challenges or this case being levied against the minister a few weeks ago, the currency, in my view, will be trading below 13. Sure. I don't have any doubt. The momentum, if you look at the charts, the momentum and some of the direction of where the rand is going in the short term, it says once again, foreigners do want to support South Africa. They want to give us a second chance, as much as the world is not doing well. But we are not doing ourselves any favors. We keep stabbing ourselves in the back. And I promise you, in the next month or two, there will be something else dramatic that happens that will get the international investors concerned.
Do you think that's how investors are feeling? Fatigued? This could still come back. There could still be charges around the rogue unit. It's going to continue playing out. Yeah,
look, I mean, I think that sensitivity does exist, but I guess as an international investor in emerging markets, you have seen this movie playing out quite a lot of times. There are places out there that are in the same space with us in emerging markets that I think are worse off than where we are as a country in terms of political dynamics even. There's countries out there where people are doing worse off things, but I think we just need to continue to leverage off the fact that the world likes to invest in South Africa, and let's just start doing the smaller things right. Just making sure that the Minister of Finance is protected, Treasury is protected, and let's try and convince the world that there's no political agenda here. We are running a country, and we want investments to come into the country so we can create employment, so we can employ people, so people don't go to the streets and toy all the time. All this chaos is not great, especially when you've got people coming through with genuine concerns, like students going to the streets, and then you've got things like this that can be avoided people look at us and say, this is a circus. It's
Sean Abrahams he has been since this started thrown a lot of questions about the damage to the economy. CEOs have written letters about that. Today he said, well, this isn't just about one man. Is the economy linked to one man? And it does seem as if you touch Pravin Gordhan, you touch the rand. That's been said before, but I think it's much bigger than one man. It's about confidence, isn't it? And everything he represents. It's not just a man.
Do you know, South Africa is actually ranked very highly in terms of our banking system, in terms of our stock exchange and the regulation and the reporting financial numbers from companies listed on the JSE. And actually, our treasury and the Ministry of Finance in the emerging market space, we have had a solid track record. From the days of Mr. Mboweni, from the days of Minister Manuel and all the other guys, via Jill Marcus, the guys at Treasury and at the Ministry of Finance, Minister Nene. He was a good minister. And the world does like the fact that South Africa always seems to have a plan in Treasury and in the Ministry of Finance. We don't get surprises when we have to replace a Minister of Finance. It's always someone that's tested, that's always been working with Treasury. So we get a lot of votes coming through from that. So it's so sad that we have to throw it out all in a big can of water.
And the concerns about institutions, because that's something the rating agencies are looking at, do you think that will remain, even though at least the judiciary, I think, looks quite good? Sean Abrahams was saying if we go to court, we can't prove criminal intent. That was his conclusion. Yeah. The suggestion is that a judge would be extremely fair.
Yeah, look, I think the judiciary in the country has really been doing a good job. And I hope they continue to be allowed to exercise their authority in the manner that they have in the past, when in some cases we thought that, geez, what's going on here? But all of a sudden we have a good decision coming through, a fair decision coming through from the judiciary system. I'm worried about the institutional investors in the country. I'm worried about the institutional investors offshore. But I think, like I said, we should really start creating an environment that invites capital into the country. If you look at this, say, we've had a lot of deals coming through. We just had Marriott announcing a 3 billion rand deal to build hotels in the country, in Johannesburg and in Cape Town. We had Ford coming to invest billions. We had BMW coming to invest billions. And there's lots of property companies coming to list in the JSE. An 86 odd billion rand transaction listed about a month ago on the JSE. Confidence in the country, we don't need to sell our story too hard. But why do we do these things?
And Shoprite doing well today.
Yes.
The trade surplus, let's end with that, just because that seems like an important development. Why was it so surprising? What's spurring on our exports?
No, look, I think probably it's a combination of things. The weak currency also, in my view, has a contribution there. But that number does tend to be very volatile. So month to month, you can really expect anything. We can't really estimate it with the close proximity, or rather with a lot of accuracy. But I really think that any positive news that we get out there, we'll take that news. We started off with the monetary extension numbers, and we had the trade numbers as well that were positive, and then we had the news about the Minister Gordhan, and yeah, so
if Minister Gordhan stays out of the news for the rest of the year into next year, are we on a positive trajectory, or the beginning of a positive trajectory?
No, look, it depends on a lot of things. It depends on global growth. If global growth does come back, then great. But we want Minister Gordhan in the news for the good things and for the good reasons. And we want a bit of rain, man. It's too hot out there. The drought has been causing chaos. Inflation has been a challenge. Food inflation has been a concern, but it's starting to come back. I do think a lot of things we can control, we can do them right. The minister has controlled spending in the medium-term budget statement, which is what we need to do. We need to start implementing, and going into next year, I think things could look better for the country.
All right, thank you so much for your analysis tonight. Owen Nkomo from Nkunzi.